We'll go ahead and begin. We'd like to thank each and every one of you for coming out this 21st day of May. This is the 9th meeting of the Board of Directors of the City of Hot Springs. We'll begin with an invocation by Pastor Kelly Green of Roanoke Baptist Church, and I'll lead the pledge. All rise.
Shall we pray? Lord, we just thank you for another opportunity to be able to come together to handle the business that you have put before us. We ask you, God, for your spirit, your leadership. We ask you, God, to continue to lead us as we continue to lead the people. All these we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now call this meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Director Aaron Holliday.
Here.
Director Phyllis Beard.
Present.
Director Marcia Dobbs-Smith.
Here.
Director Dudley Webb.
Here.
Director Karen Garcia. Director Steve Trusty.
Here.
Mayor Pat McCabe.
Here. At this time, we'll consider approval of the agenda. Are there any additions, deletions to the agenda, or an item to be moved from consent agenda to new business?
Yes.
Director Beard?
Actually have two items. The R24-103 and R24-106.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We probably don't even need to vote. Aye. We'll move those in the same order that they appear. So resolution R-24-103 will be the first item on new business. And then R-24-106 will be the second item under new business. At this time, we'll consider approval of the minutes of the regularly held meeting on May 7th, 2024. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the minutes as presented?
Motion to approve.
Motion
Second.
by Director Trustee, second by Director Webb. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Post same sign. Minutes are approved. Recognition of guests. Director Phyllis Beard has a special guest.
Yes, we have Mr. Reginald Marable, the field office director. Could you come up a second and tell us what you
Welcome.
want us to know?
Good evening, Mayor McCabe, to the city members, directors. My name is Reginald Marable. I'm the Arkansas Field Office Director for the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Located, I'm headquartered there in Little Rock, Arkansas. Just wanted to come down back in April, sent an email out to try to get down to meet with everybody, to talk about some HUD initiatives and some assistance and how we can partner together. So City Director Ms. Beard reached out to me and asked if I could come in today just to formally put that request out and let you guys know that HUD is here to assist you. We're here to help you with our issues that we have throughout the United States. It's not just here in Hot Springs, but throughout the nation with affordable housing, as well as other things that could be helped with the CDBG money that is funded here for you. So just wanted to formally come out and let you guys know that we're here to partner with you and assist you here in Hot Springs,
Very good.
barring any questions.
Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here. This time we'll hear from our city manager for the city manager report, but you want Karen Scott to go first, or?
That'd be fine. I was going to call her up, so thank you.
Okay, Ms. Scott will provide a quarterly financial report.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the board. This is the report on the financial statements through March 31st, 2024, so the first quarter of 2024. In the general fund, the 2024 year-to-date revenues over expenditures is $3.85 million, which is an increase over last year of $1.3 million. Total revenue is actually down $134,000, but expenditures were down $1.4 million. So that's what makes that up. Now, when I'm going to talk about the fund balance, I want to make sure that everyone understands these are all unaudited numbers for fund balance because our 2023 audited financial statements are not complete yet. Until that happens, the fund balance, beginning fund balance numbers are unaudited. So any fund balance numbers at this point are also unaudited. The restricted fund balance in the general fund is $11.6 million, and unrestricted is $25.35 million. In the street fund, the 2024 year-to-date revenues over expenditures is $2.52 million, and that is up $450,000 over last year. The fund balance numbers in the street fund, restricted $1.76 million, and unrestricted a little over $9 million. In the water fund, the year-to-date revenues over expenditures are $764,000, and that is up over last year $160,000. And the fund balance in the water fund is $79.7 million. The wastewater fund, the year-to-date revenues over expenditures is $653,000, and that is up $172,000 over last year at this time. The fund balance in the wastewater fund is $55.53 million. The revenues in the general fund, just sort of a kind of a looking over at how they're shaping up this year. The sales tax is up 3.9% over last year at this time, and the Oaklawn revenues are up 5.4% at this time. However, we do have a few things that are down, but we have explanations for them. The franchise fees are down about $10,000. And it's because last year we got the franchise fees for electric, gas, and telephone. We got 3 of them in this quarter, and this year we only got 2 of them. And that's the same case with business licenses. We had a little bit slower collection, so business license revenue's down also. And in the general fund of interest, personnel is only up $28,000, and with the raises that were given in this, based on the salary study, you would expect that to be more. But if you all remember, you adopted a plan where we had no insurance expense to the departments for 2 months this year. We recognized both of those in January and February. So that has what's been the result of, not a very big increase in personnel expenditures that you would have expected. So in the next quarter, we'll actually see that. And the transfers were down for police and street. Can I answer any
Any
questions?
questions of Ms. Scott? Director Trustee?
Thank you, Mayor. Karen, you mentioned the audit. What's the
Yes.
time frame on receiving that? Maybe by
So,
June?
yeah, we have submitted our draft ACFR to the auditors last Wednesday. They're working on it, and we fully intend to have it finished by June 30th.
Okay. And one other question. Any trends that you see that concern you? I know you've talked about some things that are up, some that are down, but anything that causes you heartburn?
No.
Okay.
And of course, our sales tax revenue and Oaklawn revenue, substantial amounts. And what was, I thought was really good, sales tax to be up 3.9, Oaklawn
Right.
to be up 5.4 after January, which was down.
Right.
So
I-
we do
I-
seem to have rebounded from that.
I reviewed those statements yesterday, or maybe Sunday afternoon, and I didn't see anything, but I wanted to ask you. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any additional questions of Ms. Scott? Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we'll continue with City Manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. 2 weeks ago today, we had a really devastating event with the tornadoes that came through. In some cases, we were fortunate that it stayed primarily in the lake and not out on land where it would have really done some additional damage. But we did have a lot of damage in the Davidson Drive, Peninsula Drive, Lakeland Point, even Long Island in the county. And then there were some other roads around Humphreys and Shady Heights that took some pretty big hits. And just me driving through, it looked like Peninsula Drive probably took the biggest brunt. I heard from a lot of people that were very appreciative of the response from our public safety. I can tell you that the tornado hit somewhere around 12:30, 12:35. It was on the ground. I think they said 26 minutes. It was 600 yards wide, and I want to say 12.2 miles long. But that night, within about an hour and a half, we actually had firefighters that were walking those streets, climbing in and out and through trees. One had a dead pole, making sure the electric wires that was in the tree wasn't live. The other had a sniffer, for lack of a better term, checking for gas leaks, and they went to every single home, making sure that no one was either trapped, injured, or needed medical assistance. By the next morning, they had been able to chainsaw and cut a path all the way around that loop that would allow our UTV, our all-terrain vehicle with an extraction kit and a gurney. They made a path to where we could at least get that unit through there should someone need that kind of assistance. So really, really kudos to Chief Davis and the firefighters, as well as our police force. They were out there very quickly and responded very quickly to a devastation that it looked like a war zone. I think we probably lost anecdotally about 1,000 trees. It's unbelievable. Some of these are 150 years old that stretched over every street that was in this impact zone that I just spoke of. Also very proud of our street crews that worked 12-hour shifts with chainsaws out there taking care and opening up the streets to where we could at least get other emergency vehicles in there, energy vehicles in there. They had people out that were also opening roads, checking those lines. And as we move from the emergent to the post, very proud of our street crews, our solid waste crews. They hauled our staff hauled over 500 knuckle boom truckloads of debris, and there's still a lot to go. We've had over 18,000 cubic yards come into our compost facility between our staff as well as private contractors that are also clearing some of those areas. But I can tell you that the response from the people that live out there has been really good and appreciative of all the work that's taking place. All the electricity and gas are on. We had 4 gas leaks in that one particular area. Summit got out and repaired those. Most of the service was restored in 2 or 3 days. There were a few outliers out there. One of the things that they did, there were so many people with generators that they had to come out and take the meters off all the homes for fear it was backfeeding the lines while we were cutting. But just a tremendous response, and just really, really proud of our community, the residents that live out there that were helping each other, and then our city staff. So very, very proud of them. Want to recognize a couple of retirements. Lieutenant Chris Hayes retired from the police department after 26 years of service, as well as Lieutenant Mike Hall, who also retired this month with 22 years of service. We appreciate those two men that gave such a long, selfless career to our citizens and keeping us safe. Both of them are very good gentlemen and going to be hard to replace, but I wish them nothing but happiness in their retirement. We also had some promotions due to some of these. Alan Constant was promoted to lieutenant. Corporal Hunter Scott was promoted to sergeant, and then Ty Threadgill was promoted to corporal. And I think we probably have a few more that are coming up behind those from one of the other retirements. So I want to congratulate all of them. Sports recreation, the city of Hot Springs is requesting that the public basically stay off the soccer fields at Kimberly Park temporarily. We've got those closed for treatment. We hydro-seeded several areas in the soccer fields there with the aim of growing thicker grass. As you know, we've got a few areas, if you've been out there, we've got a few areas on the soccer field where for the past several years we just could not get grass to grow. So we're trying another approach with this hydro seeding. It's been successful in other areas, so hopefully it'll be successful there as well. And we got a couple of spots out in the outfield of the softball fields that we're working on as well. But I want to thank the city street department for their commitment and hard work in ensuring that we were able to get that handled efficiently. We hope to open that back up around June the 21st, and hopefully we'll have grass in those spots that we've really been challenged to grow. Another kudos to the Solid Waste Department. They hosted the free household hazardous waste collection in partnership with the Southwest Central Regional Solid Waste Management District on May 18th from 8 to 1 at the Garland County Fairgrounds. There were 342 vehicles that came through during that time frame collecting those household hazardous waste, and they also collected 201 tires. If you recall, one of the upcoming events we talked about was hosting a semi-annual rabies drive Sunday, May the 19th. Animal Services did a fantastic job, 126 rabies vaccines, 29 microchips, 19 lifetime city licenses, and 7 annual licenses. So they did a great job there. Entergy Park, we've got the park back open. However, Water Tower Loop Trail and Fence Line Trail are still closed at this time. We're encouraging any park users to not go exploring. Don't try to get down those trails. The other trails are open. We lost a tremendous amount of trees in Entergy Park. Unfortunately, we didn't lose any pavilions, any playground equipment, but our trail section was heavily damaged. I think we had 45 men there on 3 days so far cutting trees. I think they'll be back tomorrow, and hopefully we'll get that cleared and be able to get those trails back rehabilitated and open to the public. And then finally, city offices are going to be closed except for public safety and the airport on Memorial Day on May the 27th, this next Monday. Solid waste, residential routes, and Earth Angel, including leaf and mulch collection, will run 1 day behind schedule. So if your collection day is usually on a Monday, it's going to be on a Tuesday. If it's on a Tuesday, it's going to be on a Wednesday. This only impacts those that are serviced by the city of Hot Springs. The Transportation Depot and Intercity Transit Services will be closed Monday for the holiday, but they'll be running their normal routes on Saturday. The compost facility will operate normal hours on Saturday, but they'll be closed Sunday and Monday as well. I can tell you the staff out there is needing a couple of days off. They had 1 day off in the last 13 days, and just really proud of the work they're doing. That 18,000 cubic yards, the fire department, along with their staff, we've been able to burn most of that and keep up with what's coming in. We've got a very it's a large section, but it's not near big enough for the kind of volume that's coming in. But that's where DEQ said that we could have this activity. So we're having to stay within this footprint, and they're able to do that, and just really appreciate all the work. And then finally, I want to thank Gary Carnahan, Todd Pillar, Courtney Kaiser for joining me at Diamond Head yesterday. We had what started out, I told a gentleman we'd come out and meet with him and his neighbors. It turned into about 80 people, all talking about our Gulf Pump Station and the work that we're doing there and what we're doing in our wastewater system. We had a lot of folks there. I think everybody that lived on Spencer's Bay may have been there, as well as those in Diamond Head. So it was a really great opportunity to be able to get the word out on the work that we're doing in that basin. And I think when people left, they had a better understanding of what was happening, what we were doing, and a time frame of when we'll be completed, which to date on the 24-inch line, that completion date in the contract is July the 4th. But I'm happy to say that Coakley and Company, they've got 3 crews working on that particular line, and they're well above schedule. If we could just continue to have some of the days like we had today, and yesterday was beautiful. These rainy days are slowing the progress, but they're still ahead of schedule. With that, Mayor,
Very good.
Thank you
very much. Board of Directors announcements of upcoming events. Do individual directors have announcements of upcoming events? Director Beard?
Thank you, Mayor. On Saturday, I don't have a date on this, but this coming Saturday is the Food for Thought. The giving team will be available for lunch, food baskets, groceries, clothing, water, resources regarding insurance and housing and phones. And this is at the corner of Church and Malvern. And then also the Memorial Day fireworks Sunday, May 26th at 9 p.m. And that will be at, can't say this, Futrall Marine, 115 Catalina Circle. And the fireworks will take off on the east side of Highway 7 at Highway 7 South at the first bridge.
Very good. Any other announcements? Director Holliday.
Thank you so much. I want to announce on Monday, May 27th, on Memorial Day at 3 p.m. is the annual Hot Springs Concert Band Memorial Day performance that happens in Whittington Park. You can come join the Hot Springs Concert Band to remember and honor the men and women of our armed forces who courageously served our nation to protect the freedom and liberties we enjoy here in the U.S. The band will perform a variety of patriotic music that idealizes the spirit of America. If you've never been to Whittington Park, it's beautiful and it's an amazing place to listen to the music. I live near Whittington Park and actually can even hear it from my house. It echoes up the mountain. So please join us on Memorial Day if you can. Again, that starts at 3 p.m. And a little bit of an early announcement, but I did want to announce that on June 8th will be our annual Pride Parade, starting again at Grateful Head on Exchange Street. We'll meet at 4 o'clock. Lineup is at 4:45, and we'll start walking at 5 down Central and end at Central Theater. So always a lot of fun and color and cheerfulness in the street when that happens. So again, that's Saturday, June 8th. We'll start walking at 5 o'clock. You'll see us downtown.
Very good.
Thanks.
Any other announcements? Director Dobbs-Smith?
This is probably one you wanted. The annual downtown running of the tubs, which is always so much fun, and we usually have a friendly competition between our public servants, fire and police, right? They're usually battling it out in their costumes and with their tubs and trying to beat each other. And that will be held Saturday, June the 1st. It's always fun.
Very good. Any other announcements? Director Webb?
Thank you, Mayor. I've got two announcements. The first is May Days, May 24th through May 25th, or I should say May 24th and May 25th. It's 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. each day at 315 Park Avenue. This is a free community event with a DJ, bouncy houses, and tasty food and refreshments just to kick off the summer. So again, May 24th and May 25th, 3 to 5, 315 Park Avenue. Fun bouncy houses for kids and I guess adults too. If feel like jumping. The second event announcement is for a District 4 Town Hall that I'll be hosting. This is Thursday, June 6th at 5:30 p.m. The town hall will be held at First Lutheran Church, which is at 105 Village Road. There will be food, refreshments, and fellowship. I'll be providing a neighborhood safety report to everybody. And then I'll also have a panel for community Q&A. On this panel will be myself, and I extended invites to the JP for District 4, Mr. Jimmy Young, the JP for District 3, Miss Esther Dixon, and then also the opposing candidates. And I've heard back from 3 of those. So this will be a good opportunity for everybody in District 4 and 3 to meet the candidates that are coming up for the JP election in November, and then also ask some questions that can relate to city issues and county issues both. Again, I encourage you to bring your friends, bring your family, bring your neighbors, and look forward to visiting with all of you. This is District 4 Town Hall, Thursday, June 6, 5:30 at First Lutheran Church, 105 Village Road. Thank you.
Very good. Any other announcements? Director Trustee?
Thank you, Mayor. Starting Thursday, May the 30th, Garvin Woodland Gardens at 550 Arkridge Road will again host Thursdays. Starting every Thursday, sprinklers and beach balls will return to the Evans Children's Adventure Garden. Children can come and wear the swimsuit and enjoy the water features at Garvin Woodland Gardens, and that starts Thursday, May the 30th, 10 to 6. So,
Very good.
okay.
Any other announcements? Thank you. I do have one that I want to talk about just briefly. I actually am going to kick it off to Bill because he's been working on this, but We're building out our solar plants, throughout the community in order for us to be able to have all of our city operations utilize solar power and, so to speak, get us off the grid, if you will. We had a dedication today that brings us getting close to halfway as far as our power generation and our needs. But I want Bill to kind of provide some additional details. Bill?
Thank you, Mayor. We call it our second plant, but actually we've got 4 plants at that location. We currently have 1 megawatt at our Southwest wastewater treatment plant. We've got about 4.5, maybe a little bit more than that, at Davidson Drive. We've got another plant scheduled for the airport, and then 1 on some other property that Scenic Hill was able to acquire. That's going to take us to about the 50% mark. Any of the remaining stations that we have are considered large generators or large users of power, and they're kind of falling under a different regulation. It seems like every time we take a few steps, so there's, the ball field changes a little bit, so we've got to pivot and do some things differently. I have invited them, as you know, scheduled for a work session next Tuesday after the agenda meeting to talk about some of those things. But it's been almost a labor of love trying to get to there. I mean, when you're talking about being 100% reliable on renewable energy, our city is one of the cities leading the way in reducing and eliminating our carbon footprint, as well as save ratepayers, taxpayers money. Once we get this completed at the end of the day, we're going to save about $28 million over a 30-year period. So that's a lot of money, about $1 million a year that we're able to invest in other services for our residents. So, I really appreciate this board. I appreciate the previous board for letting us go down this road. It's been a long haul, a lot of issues, working through those with the Public Safety or the Public Service Commission, our legislative body, others in the electricity producing world. But we've got here, and it's just through persistence and not giving up. And I think we definitely have a path to being able to get these other 6 or so megawatts that we need. So looking forward to that work session, and it was a really nice day today to be able to dedicate those 4 plants at the Davidson Drive plant. Thank you.
Very good. Well, thank you. At this time, we'll move on to consent agenda. Just a reminder that we did remove 2 items from the consent agenda to new business. Those are items 6 and 8, or 6 and 9. So the balance of the consent agenda, these are items that do not merit individual discussion. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Director Trustee. made the
Approve as
motion.
amended, right. Thank you.
Second by Director Webb. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Consent agenda is adopted. Now again, going back to the 2 items that were removed, the first is consider resolution R-24-103, and I'll ask City Attorney to read by title.
Resolution R-24-103, a resolution awarding a term contract to Mel Northey Company, Inc. of Houston, Texas for certain ornamental street lights. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt. I'm sorry,
Second.
Director Webb, seconded by Director Dobb Smith. And go ahead, Ron, with this staff report, please. I know this was on a consent agenda, but now we're new business.
RFP was advertised. We had 3 vendors that responded to our RFP on these streetlights. Mel Northey Company, Wholesale Electric Supply, and Taza Supplies. The bids and RFPs were reviewed by staff that will be utilized in contract, and they rated and ranked Mel Northey as the highest vendor. A notice of intent was sent out with no protest that were filed. And these streetlights are used for special projects, Malvern Avenue beautification, Park Avenue, and we use them in other areas.
Okay, any questions? Director Beard?
Thank you, Mayor. My question was, are any of these lights used or paid for with CDBG money, or they're part of the budget?
Most of them are part of our budget.
Okay,
But they coincide with CDBG funds. The beautification is done through there, and then we fund the streetlights through a different account.
okay. And then my understanding that there are 25 lights and each one is about $129, but then there's other add-ons that they have, like,
Each light is about $2,300. That includes the banner poles. We have extra outlets on them in order to plug in our decorations and our Christmas decorations as we expand.
okay, thank you. And then, so you've had these lights up since 2019, or how, like, when did they, like the ones in front of the, on Malvern Avenue for the gateway, so how long have the lights been up?
Malvern Avenue started about 2020.
About 2020.
Yes, ma'am.
And then how many times have the lights been knocked down? Do you have a record of how many times they've been knocked
We've
down?
had 5 knockdowns so far.
Okay, so are any part of the lights that were knocked down, are any of them salvageable? Like, do you have to get a whole new light, or can you repair the broken light?
Each one is different, and these are kind of nice because they come in 3 sections, and a lot of times we can salvage the base or the pole and then order the rest of the sections later. But a lot of times, if they're hit hard enough, they also damage the foundation. So the entire light has to be replaced.
Okay. And do we know why people are running into them? Is there enough space for them to turn there? Like, if they're on Malvern and they're turning into Family Dollar, if we're talking about the same place, is there enough space for people to navigate without running into the light?
Yes, ma'am.
There is enough space, so maybe people are texting or
I
Drunk?
wouldn't be able to answer that. That'd be
Well,
something we'd have to get the reports on, of the accident reports.
But I think you could say that, there are hundreds of cars that use Malvern Avenue, and we've had 5 that weren't using it adequately, it looks like, or some other ulterior issues that caused them to have that collision. Most of them are at night, and we've got reflectives. I mean, it's a light, so they're on. They ought to be able to see them. But out of the hundreds of cars that use Malvern, we've lost 5. Same thing on Central Avenue. We've probably got thousands of cars using them down there, and we've lost poles on a pretty regular basis down there too. But it is decorative, and it does make our city look much nicer. So, and also I want to add, there are CDBG funds involved in these lights. Not light specifically, maybe up on Park, but any of the beautification does include CDBG funds, which were, as you know, approved by the Community Development Action Committee and this board. So I want to make sure that we're clear that there are some CDBG funds in these beautification projects.
Okay, thank you for that. So my suggestion does not have anything to do with the contract for the lights, but maybe if there could be some kind of barrier so that people don't run into the lights, so we don't have to keep replacing them at $2,000 a piece. Thank you.
Out of the 5, 4 of them were covered under insurance, so the city had no costs
Oh,
involved.
okay. I don't know if that was in our packet, but thank you. Thank you very much.
Any further questions? Director Webb?
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Ron, out of the 5 occasions where these lights have gotten knocked down, can you share with us which light it is? Is it the same one that keeps getting knocked down 5 times, or is it
No,
a
sir.
different set of
They've been
5
in
lights?
different locations.
Okay. And in speaking into Director Beard's request for a barrier, do we have any potential designs that could go there that kind of look like it might mesh well with the light to help prevent cars from busting down the light?
I don't.
And maybe just the barrier take hit instead of the light itself?
I'm not sure, Director Webb. You might want to drive down there this afternoon and take a look at it. There's not a whole lot of room. These things are on the corner. They're on the sidewalk. I mean, I don't know how many we have now, but, we're talking 50 lights, throughout the project. It's really not cost effective to do that. If a vehicle's gonna hit a light, it's gonna hit the ballard that we try to put in front of it. But, you know, we'll do what we can to make them more illuminatory, I guess, because I mean, like I said, they're lights.
I've looked at that area, Bill, so I am familiar with what it looks like. Out of those that do get damaged, about how many of those lights are at no cost to the city to repair due to the insurance of the driver taking over cost? I think you said 4 out of these 5,
Four
the
out of the
insurance.
5, the last one that was hit, we did not get, the driver fled, so.
What about the lights on Central?
Central, those were covered under insurance as well.
100% of those? Or do you
We
have
had
any
3 hit
percentage?
on Central, and 100% of those were covered. And
Okay.
those are a little
This
bit more
year.
expensive.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
My question, actually, I see Mr. Todd Pillar in the back shaking your head. Did you have anything you wanted to ask or add to this about the barriers? Is that something, or am I just, okay. I didn't want to call you up if you didn't want to say anything. So, yeah, I don't know if this was I don't know if this was engineering, or if this is something that we should ask our city engineer about barriers, but it just seems like, I think when people are running into lights and then having to be replaced, then maybe there could be some kind of reason or something we could do to prevent that from happening.
Director Dobbs-Smith?
I don't know that it has anything to do as much with the lights themselves as it does the way people drive. Perry Plaza was built in the 30s, and it's been hit at least twice in the last, year or two? People ran right into the building that's been there for years. Nothing's changed. The road hadn't been narrowed, hadn't been widened, had nothing. I think people just are driving crazy. That's-
A lot of it's inattention.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
I know that this was on the consent agenda, so nobody really had an opportunity to sign up. Did we have anybody who want to speak on this matter from the audience? Any discussion amongst directors? Please call the roll.
Director Holliday.
Aye.
Beard.
Aye.
Dobbs-Smith.
Aye.
Webb.
Aye.
Trustee.
Aye.
McCabe.
Aye. Resolution's adopted. The second resolution that was moved from the consent agenda to new business is Resolution R-24-106, and I ask the city attorney to read by title.
Resolution R-24-106, a resolution awarding a bid to Environmental Protection Associates, Inc. for the abatement and removal of asbestos and lead-based paint at 228 Orange Street and for other purposes. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion, second to adopt.
Motion to adopt,
So
Director
moved.
Trustee, seconded by Director Dobbs-Smith. And Ms. Kathy Salmon, Director of Planning and Development, will provide the staff report.
Thank you. Good evening. On 228 Orange is the old Hot Springs High School gymnasium and was condemned by the Board of Directors in September 2022. 2 bidders responded to the bid solicitation to remove that structure. Environmental Enterprises Group bid $246,000, and Melton Excavating was $78,000. Although the Melton bid was the lower of the 2, Melton did not include asbestos removal and remediation. A little bit of background. Roger Powell entered into an agreement to purchase from the owner Monolith Properties in March 2023. In April, J&T Lee Enterprises, on behalf of Mr. Powell, obtained a roof and soffit repair permit, which now has expired. Pursuant to the Property Maintenance Code, the Planning and Development Department requested bids for asbestos inspection and lead paint sampling. Nabholz Environmental Services, the low bidder, prepared a report detailing the types and locations of the hazardous material. The report was sent to owner Powell as well as to Monolith Properties, along with a request that asbestos and lead-based paint be removed by licensed professionals prior to allowing use or occupancy of the structure. The Lee permit expired 6 months after it was issued because no inspections were requested during that time. In March of this year, with no permits and all work having ceased, the city called for bids to remove and abate the asbestos and lead-based paint. After rating and ranking, the lower responsive bidder of the two that we received was Environmental Protection Associates at $26,000. Notice of intent to award was published and no protest resulted from that publication. We were able to provide Mr. Powell with personal service of tonight's board meeting to consider the abatement contract. I feel that I must let you know that a notice was mailed to Mr. Powell and to Monolith with a very incorrect date. That mistake was noticed. The notice date was updated to what it needed to be, and notice was perfected as of that change. Given the $78,000 estimate to raise and remove, and now the $26,000 bid to abate hazardous materials, the aggregate cost to remove this building is likely to exceed $100,000. Now, this is a $26,000 bid. It is within the city manager's authority to approve a bid of that amount, but because of the likely aggregate cost being what it is, we believed it was most transparent to take it to you, let you know the progress that we have made so far, what the steps are that are upcoming, and to let you make the decision on this contract to the low bidder. And thank you very much for your support.
Any questions of Ms. Selman? Thank you.
Yes, I do have a question.
Go ahead.
My question was about the owner. You said that Roger Powell purchased the building in 2023, and you sent, there's actually 3 green cards that have to be signed and returned. So, and you got back one of them. Monolith Properties on 300 Exchange to Joanne Privatello, and then the second one, Hill Cafe and Events on 312 Morrison, and then Monolith again on 211 Fountain Street. So you got back one of those cards. I didn't mark which one you got back.
I think the packet has all the cards were returned, should be in your packet.
All of them? Well, I looked and I didn't see signatures on all of them. But if you got it back, I mean, if it was returned to you, is it ever returned not signed?
It can be returned not signed, yes.
Okay, because the person has to be home to sign it.
That's the ideal situation.
Okay. So my question, the last owner that you have is Roger Powell at 312 Morrison, and I don't see if that one was signed. So this is my concern. I want to make sure that the last owner was contacted before the building is condemned.
Right. We were fortunate to have personal contact with Mr. Powell and delivered that information by hand to him.
He signed it at my office on May the 9th.
Okay,
and he is present.
Okay, great. Because we don't want to, sometimes when this process is going, then, and the building is sold, then the new owner doesn't know that there's a condemnation going on at the time. So I just wanted to make sure, because we don't want to tear down anyone's building that's
No,
trying
we
to
are
sound that.
equally concerned, let me
Yes.
assure you, Director Beard.
Is the sale recorded somewhere?
My understanding is that it was an agreement to purchase, and the city attorney may have more information on that.
It is not filed of record, Mayor, so as far as the legal title, it's still in Monolith. Equitable interest is owned by Mr. Powell, and so that's why the department was instructed to make sure that Mr. Powell was included in the notice on that. So James Hartage and I met with him in my office on May the 9th, shared the letter with him. He signed a copy of it. That should be in your packet. And then subsequently, Mr. Burra and I met with John Girolamo on behalf of Monolith Properties. He had a copy of the letter that was sent, and he knew about the meeting tonight and would have the opportunity to appear.
We've been through this before where we send a certified letter to the last person of record from the courthouse records. Is there any procedure that we've failed to follow in that regard?
No, sir, not at all. The state statute provides that we are to notify in this method the last record title holder on the assessor's records, and that is Monolith Properties Corp. So both parties knew, and Mr. Powell's here this evening. I don't know if he wants to speak to the board on whether or not he knew it had been previously condemned or not. Obviously, that condemnation is filed of record with book and page in the mortgage and deed records of Garland County. If that closing had gone through a title company, all of that would have been easily discovered and been part of their title package.
Very good. Any more questions of Ms. Selman? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Powell, would you like to come forward and let us know what your thoughts are or plans are or capabilities are?
Absolutely, Mayor. I appreciate the opportunity. First, greetings to all of you, all of the board members. I want to first touch on the permit. I have a very, I guess, huge misunderstanding of how the permit is expired due to the contractors not calling the planning and development department to do a inspection when the permit itself does not read that. So I do need some understanding there. Also, my purpose and reason for going to the city attorney's office is to get some help to maybe hopefully nudge the contractors a little bit, because according to the permit, I didn't want that 180 days to go by without them doing work on site. It had not reached that time period yet. That was my goal. That was my purpose. But I do want to say that I've had the opportunity to go into contract and with Monolith and acquire this property. It's been a year and 2 months. A year and 2 months. And within that year and 2 months, I do feel that I'm missing a little something regarding what the purpose is, why we're pushing so hard to tear this building down. I am against the funding of the removal of the asbestos. That's my job. That's why I'm pushing to renovate, to restore this building. I can do that during the construction phase. Encapsulate, remove, whichever. So I don't agree with the city or the city manager, even though he has the authority to approve such small amount. I don't agree with the approval of it when I would like for the city to help me. Here lately, because of the small things, the little things that happened between last year, March, up until this point, I've been very discouraged, and I've never felt this discouraged by the city of Hot Springs before. This is my very first experience in this state, because I've experienced great work with the city of Hot Springs through the engineering department, working on the Morrison Avenue project, with you so kindly approved that grant twice. Michelle Sestelli coming into my home, inviting neighbors into my home, all of the great information coming from the city, all of that great experience, and then now I don't feel that experience. I don't feel like I'm being helped by the city, the planning and development department that I assumed should help me plan and develop this facility. But that's not the case. Immediately after the permit was pulled, a survey happened that I did not know about, nor did Monolith know about, to remove asbestos last year. We got a copy of the survey, Monolith and myself. That was, in my view, a hard no. That was a hard no. To go into private property without acknowledging the owner at all. Later on, pushing the contractors over a period of time to get all of the damaged wood that was actually imminent danger. It was a danger. So I pushed them to get all of that removed and replaced, cleaned up. Struggling with the contractors, which is beside the point. Leading up to my visit with Mr. Albright, and I encounter another hurdle. Although I believe well-intended, but it's a hurdle. It's not helping me push to complete this project. Placing a bond on the permit, if I have to pull another one, that's a hurdle. It's not helping with the planning and development. So, I'm here to ask you to let me do the work. Let me do the work. Watch me do the work. Yeah, I'm going to have to get some new contractors, of course. I already have some lined up. And I know it's going to take time, of course. Although little progress has been made, but some has been made. So I'm against the city funding any removal of the asbestos when that's my job as the one who's pushing to develop this property. I only ask for your support, information, your help, instructions, guidance, not hurdles.
The agreement to purchase apparently occurred in March of 2023. I'm not certain what that looks like, nor do I. Can you give the board some understanding as to, do you hold the title to it, or why is this not recorded to where we can affect notice to the proper individual or entity?
I understand that the contract that Monolith and I went into is a land contract. And of course, it includes the property, the building, and of the lots across the street from it, those two lots. And so I understand that Monolith did not want to possibly record the contract according to their way of doing business. But that's still besides the point.
Well, as far as the planning development, it appears that you're looking for consultative services versus, and that's not necessarily what they do. Can you help me explain help me understand what you're looking from them? I mean, that's why you hire architects and engineers, and then they deal, if the owner doesn't have those capabilities, then those individuals who understand the regulations, the code, will go to Ms. Selman and her staff and say, this is what we're looking at doing.
Well, Mr. Mayor, it sounds like some regulations and codes are being made up.
How so?
You know, I don't see an expiration date on the permit due to calling the Planning and Development Department to come out and take a look. I understand that the contractor needs to call and, you know, get the Planning and Development Department out there to inspect along the way. But I think it would be helpful if the Planning and Development Department actually came out there and inspected like they would and let us know where we can do better or fix. Not put hurdles not try to stop us. That's what I mean.
Again, that you're looking for consultative services. How much work has the contractor done? You said they removed some rotten wood. How much have you paid them, and what % of the work that you asked them to do is completed?
They've done quite a bit of work. They've replaced a good amount of rotted wood on the left side of the building if you're facing the building, leading up to the 3 major holes that are in the roof that I can easily patch, but I wanted to do more. And Monolith, I feel, is right now the only business or entity that is backing me, advanced $20,000. And so because of that, I said, I want to do more. I want to do more. They did that, didn't have to. But I said, okay, since you're going to do this, I'm not just going to patch it. I could have patched the holes for $5,000, $10,000. But I'm going to do more because you're really putting something into this. My whole goal is do the entire roof. That way we don't have to come back. I can patch it, stop the leaks, but I'm starting from ground zero. I'm going to have to come back later on, do the entire roof anyway.
So your funding source is from Monolithic? Who you
Monolith,
acquired it from?
Monolith agreed, which I said no, but Monolith agreed to do the entire thing. They wanted to fund the entire renovation. Entire renovation. In my eyes, I'm like, no, I'm not going to let you do that. I want to be able to do this myself. So instead of funding the entire renovation, they advanced $20,000. Here, let us help you with this. That's huge. Who does that?
Well, what is the estimated cost of the total project?
I've got several estimates of the estimated cost of the total project from different contractors that I've talked to regarding the exterior and interior, the roof, and all together. Yeah, I've gotten a bid that from $695,000. That's for going through the entire building. That's nothing special. That's nothing. That's just getting it to be operational. You know, you have electrical, plumbing, fire extinguishers, all of those things that need to be updated and looked at and all of that. So even specifically just for the electrical and the plumbing, and the fire extinguishers. I got a bid for $380,000. So I've received several, and they were all different. But that's to just simply open the door. Nothing special. Keeping things as they are in place. Not tearing down any walls, not doing any of that.
So is those funds, either the whatever, the 380 or the 690, are those funds readily available to do the project?
They are readily available to do the project.
From what source?
Monolith. They agreed to do the entire thing. They agreed to fund the entire project. That's what I'm saying. The money is there.
All right. Director Beard?
Thank you, Mayor. You mentioned twice about him needing consulting services, basically, from the planning department. And he, if I have this correct, you are asking the city to not provide hurdles so that you can have the opportunity to remove the asbestos? Is that the summary, basically?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Providing funds to remove, the city providing the funds to the planning and development department to move asbestos, that just opens a door to do something like before, to me. Just move without me even knowing. To do, I think it's just opening the door to do something that, just to try to push to tear this building down, which I'm.
Yes,
yeah.
thank you, because that was my next point. This building is not in District 2, but it's actually a few feet from District 2, and before the census, this was a District 2 building. I would like everyone to be considerate. We do not, or rarely, and I'm just going to claim you because I can throw a ball and hit District 2 from where this building is. So I'm just going to claim you. This is something very important to me as well. So with we don't have people that are building things in District 2 or trying to restore them. So I will ask the board to consider this, like, let's do what we can to assist and make sure that the project can continue on as finished. And then I also would like whomever to give this young man the same opportunities that you've given Michael Contraneo over at Greenbrier. Thank you.
Director Webb?
Thank you, Mayor. So I'm trying to wrap my head around what's going on. So I want to make just a few statements, and then there'll probably be some questions embedded along the way. So September of '22, the site in question, Orange Street, this building and structure that you're trying to help reestablish was condemned by the city. And so I would suspect that if the site was condemned by the city in September of 2022, there were probably some stipulations as to what needs to happen to bring this site back up to code. Or would that signify that at some point in time, if it's condemned, that it is the city's intentions to tear this building down? What does that mean? I do have some other statements and questions, but just from that point, can you shed some light on that, Brian, please?
I'll try, Director. First, looking at it from a general standpoint, when the board condemns property, there's always 30 days that go by before we even solicit bids relative to any kind of demolition. If there is a permit pulled for a rehab, then Mr. Scott waits to see what's going to happen. In this instance, it was September of '22 A permit was pulled in April of '23, so much longer than 30 days that we normally wait. And I understand Mr. Powell's point about his contractors not calling for an inspection, but every permit says it's good for 180 days, whether they call or not. It's 180 days. It gets extended if they're making progress. So that expired October.
Can I stop you right there?
Yes, sir.
So September of '22, it was condemned by the city. April of '23, at some point, Mr. Powell comes on board and he's with Monolith and pulls a permit to address, was his permit to address some of the issues that came out of the condemnation?
Yes, sir.
Like they said, you need to fix X, Y, and Z. He pulls a permit to fix X, Y, and Z in April of '23?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I'm not privy to what transpired between he and his contractor, other than what he told me. It sounds like the contractors took advantage of him.
Okay. And that's what I'm saying in a lot of the questions and statements that I have, because I reviewed everything in the packet, and a lot of what's coming out here tonight before us is new to me. So I'm trying to make sure that we clarify everything along the way. So I'm good so far. So where we are now, the permit was pulled in April of '23, and you're saying that it's pretty standard that when a permit is pulled, it's got a time span on it for about 180 days. So whoever pulls a permit to address any type of construction purposes to respond to condemnation, they're saying that within 180 days I can complete X, Y, and Z, or I plan to get started on it, or give you some plan as to how I will address these problems. Is that kind of what happens?
Along those lines. I mean, had there been any request for an inspection, hey, come see what we've done, see how we're doing. And I think that's why the language is in your packet. But the more relevant language is, it's 180 days.
I can read it right here.
So had any action happened since April of '23 to address why your permit was pulled?
Absolutely.
Okay. Can you share with us what's happened, whether it be
Absolutely.
within 180 days or just since April of '23, what's happened? Because is my understanding true on this particular agenda item, if we vote to approve this item for the removal of asbestos, would that essentially mean that this building goes down?
No.
So this just means that we're going to pull asbestos,
Yes, sir. We're going to
and that's it?
abate the asbestos and the lead paint.
Okay. And how does that not, would he still be able to address any type of renovation to the building if the city removes the asbestos?
As I shared with Mr. Powell when we met earlier this month, a couple of things happens at that point. He may not want that work done. The renovation work that he's doing may not require abatement. I don't know. I'm not a contractor. I'm not a environmental expert. But the other issue that happens is he then has a lien for the $26,000.
That's a hurdle.
So you're saying, is it part of your plan to remove the asbestos at some point? I'm trying to figure out why you would object to having the city remove this asbestos from the building if it's part of what your overall plan is to do at some point anyway.
My plan originally was to encapsulate the asbestos.
What does that mean?
Lock it in place, so it won't, so it won't get into the air. Encapsulation.
How often does that happen when you do that versus just remove it? Are you saying removing it would destroy some of the property? Or what's
So
why are
the
you
asbestos
against?
I'm not against removal of the asbestos. My original plan was just simply to encapsulate it. I can remove it later on, but that was the lower cost route. Now,
Which is the safest route?
both.
Would it be not safer to remove it versus encapsulate? Encapsulate? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I'll
The building-
jump in real quick. If the point of removing it is if we take the building down, it tears it apart and it comes into the air. So from the city standpoint, ignoring all this for a minute, no offense, But from the city standpoint, we've condemned the building, so the thought is we would eventually have to take it down. In order to safely take it down with machines, the hazardous material has to be removed. However, at the moment, not having seen it, I'm imagining it's stable. If it's flooring, other flooring could safely be put on top of it. It'll never come into the air. And it sounds like that's perhaps what he's thinking. So on the one hand, yes, why wouldn't you just want someone to take it out? But on the other hand, if it didn't need to be, then it didn't need to be. So does that make sense? On our hand, it has to be before we take the building down.
Right, so if no disturbance were to take place with the asbestos, it isn't ever going to reach into the surface air. So his work
Perhaps.
may not disrupt
Right,
it, so
exactly.
it isn't going to be any harm for public safety. That's what you're saying.
Exactly.
But from the city's perspective, if it's on the condemnation list, before any building can be taken down, the asbestos has to be removed first. That's,
Exactly.
okay.
Yes,
And
sir.
so what we're trying to figure out moving forward is where are you with your plan for renovation so that it provides us with an incentive not to look at removing the asbestos, because by doing that, it may actually disturb your plan. So how legit is your plan, and how do we count on you to fulfill this plan if the last time you pulled a permit was in April of '23 and nothing has happened since?
Quite a bit has happened as far as a lot of cleanup and a lot of damaged wood has been replaced. A lot has happened. It's a large building. And yeah, it looks a little minute, but a lot has happened between April of last year and now. As far as my plan, if I can continue with this, which I will, I will go ahead and close up the roof. My original goal was first and foremost, remove it from the condemned list. That is the fascia and soffit, replace all of that damaged wood. That's been replaced. Yeah, one side needs to be painted, but that's paint. It can be easily done. Now, the roof, covering those 3 major holes in the dome, basically stopping the leakage. That's possible. That was what we initially were, that's it. Putting the building back in the dry. Getting it off the condemned list. Now, of course, there's more to do. The project is not over. And I'm going to continue to work with the city to get this done. I'm just asking, just don't make it hard for me.
Director Webb?
Thank you, Mayor. I know I speak from the heart when telling you I want to see you fix this building. I want to see renovation happen. Can you share with us what is on the requisite to complete any condemnation prevention requirements? For example, the condemnation was issued on it. The city, I know you're more familiar with this than I am. The city said, hey, we would like you to fix X, Y, and Z. Can you share with the board what X, Y, and Z are? What do you need to do to this building to get it off of the condemnation list? And when do you think
Initially,
you
it
can
was
do
the roof.
The
That was
roof?
it. The roof and the fascia and soffit. That was it. Stopping the leaks. But I wanted to do more and find a contractor that could possibly do the entire roof, because I didn't want to go back later in the project and have to do that. I can easily stop the leaks. I can just go ahead and get that done.
Director Dobb Smith?
Mr. Powell, have you contacted any of the historic preservation agencies? I know, is this building on the list, on the historic list? I know that several notable luminaries have come through those doors, and it's possible that there might be money available to you to stabilize the building and prevent its further decay and get it off the condemnation list.
Yes, I've looked into it. There is, that is something that I want to continue to pursue. It is not on the historic registry. I've talked to the state already, and that's something that I am looking to do.
I would suggest that you build a case for that and get on that right away, because they do have some emergency funds to protect endangered properties.
Will do.
Mr. Albright, yeah.
Thank you for that information.
Mayor, I'd just like to share with the board a portion of the conversation that Mr. Powell and I had on May the 9th. He's very passionate about this project. It's obvious. The bid for this abatement was opened April the 22nd. Okay, they're good for 90 days. And so part of the discussion I had with Mr. Powell was that if he could convince the board to table this, we could only really take it out to June the 21st, because our agenda meeting is June the 25th, and the board meeting would be July the 2nd. So if the board were convinced to table this until the meeting, the agenda meeting on June the 25th, give him an opportunity to get his plan together, submit an adequate permit request to alleviate the issues that have it on the condemnation list, then that could be done. However, I did share with him, not as a hurdle, but as a lifeline, that I would recommend that the board require a $100,000 bond on that permit. The board has been dealing with this well before 2022. And that way, if he does the work that the permit spells out, he keeps his bond. The bond's not called. He's not out anything. But if there's another failure, then the board would have access to a bond that could be used to pay for the abatement and the demo.
And how much is that bond?
I just said 100,000.
How much how much will it cost for me to pull that?
That depends on which surety you go through. It can be a cash bond, or it could be a surety bond, a line of credit.
Director Webb?
I don't think that's necessary.
Mayor,
I really don't.
I make a motion to table this item, to give Mr. Powell time to come up with a plan to address the issues that resulted in the condemnation of this property. And I'm looking at the calendar. I know August 20th is about 180 days away, but how far out can we table? What is the minimum and maximum?
As I mentioned, the bid expires. The bid's good for 90 days. It was opened on April the 3rd. So if you get him on your June 25th agenda, you can make another decision on July the 2nd.
And so what happens when the bid expires?
We would have to start over.
Well, let's do that.
Well, that's up.
I want to second Director Webb's motion.
I think you need a date for me.
Yeah, I don't know that he completed his motion. But what date?
Did you say the date in August would be 6 months?
Well, the date for August 20th board meeting is about 180 days from today. The date that...
No, it's only 90 days.
Is that 90 days?
May to August is just 90
Sorry,
days.
I got off.
That's all right.
Long day. I'm an educator.
That's all right.
It's the final few weeks of school. Yeah, 90 days. That
August 20th?
But I think what the city attorney is mentioning does have some prudence as well. I would feel confident that if Mr. Powell is as serious as he is presenting to us, which I feel like you are serious about this project and passionate, that you could come back that day with some evidence that you were taking steps to address what factors resulted in the condemnation of this building. So I think I would feel good with that date of June
July 2nd.
or July 2nd, yes.
Well, we The Attorney Albright also mentioned that it was a lifeline with the $100,000 bond that was available, but you don't see it as a lifeline?
It's not a lifeline.
Okay, so,
Are there any other owners in the city that has the same, that are going through this as well?
We have had similar situations over my last 25 years that we've had issues with property that stayed on the list for long periods of time, yes.
But I've only had this, I've only been in, I've only had this contract for a year and 2 months. And now this bond is,
well, I don't think that
I-
Attorney Albright was saying that you had to do that. He offered that as what he thought would be a lifeline to you. And of course, you have the right to disagree. It doesn't, what might seem like a lifeline to you may not be an actual lifeline.
And I will say that, if your motion is to continue it until July the 2nd, you don't have to make your decision about a bond
Until July 2nd.
tonight. Yeah,
Right.
you can Make that a July the 2nd.
Yeah, I make a motion to table this agenda item as is until July 2nd.
Do we have a motion? Everybody understand the motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Director Beard.
Aye.
Dobbs Smith.
Aye.
Webb.
Aye.
Trustee.
Aye.
Holliday.
Aye.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. Motion to table to July 2nd
July 2nd.
is approved.
thank you.
Our next order of business is to consider Resolution R-24-107. I ask City Attorney to read by title.
Ironically, Resolution R-24-107, a resolution declaring a certain structure located at 621 Illinois Street a nuisance and condemning same pursuant to Title 17 of the Hot Springs Code. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Director
Second.
Dobbs Smith, seconded by Director Trustee. Mr. Mike Scott, Chief
Thank you,
Building
Mayor.
Inspector.
Thank you all. City of Hot Springs proposes condemnation for the purpose of demolishing and clearing a vacant duplex structure at 621 Illinois Street. Several housing and vacant structure notices have been issued to the owner since 2014. Following a limited title search on the property, an attorney ad litem was retained on January 6, 2024, in order to attempt and locate and notify any and all parties of the ownership that may have interest in this subject property. A warning order of condemnation and removal proceedings was published twice in the Sentinel Record and sent via certified mail to all known interested parties. Due to the condition of the structure, the inability or the unwillingness of the property owner to make the repairs to stabilize, having no reasonable alternative, staff recommends that the structure should be raised and removed.
Any questions of Mr. Scott? Director Beard?
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Scott, I
Yes,
want
ma'am.
to thank you and your team for, it's been about 8 months since you've been to District 2 to condemn a house, and I just want you to know that I had time to process and think about what I can do to make District 2 a better place to live and work. So it was a nice break. So my questions are, do we know if anyone lives in the house?
Lives in this house? No,
Yes.
ma'am. It's been vacant for a long time.
Okay,
It,
because there's a lot of vehicles, and
there are.
maybe someone might come back and, well, there are people that, let me clarify my question. There are people in the neighborhood, like down the street, around the corner, I think it's Clara, that live in vacant houses. So do we know if this house is, not saying the owner lives in the house, but like any people that don't have houses live in this house?
not that I'm aware of. In 2018, September 4th, we sent a vacant structure notice out way back as far as then, so it's been vacant for many years. Supposedly vacant, I guess, if some, homeless people may be living in it every now and then, I don't know, and the police may have to go and
Okay.
kick them out sometimes, I don't know.
Right. Well, should this property be condemned, and I guess you do this already, you check to make sure that the house to me wasn't in as bad a shape as some of the other ones, but But yes, let's keep that in mind, that someone could be living there. Now, I know that in the 8 months since since the department has been to condemn houses in District 2, did we learn anything new or different to curtail this problem? I know this is something that's just on the list, on an ongoing list. So have we done any or learned anything different?
Well, we keep a database of all the vacant structures, and we periodically go by and check them, and we don't bring them to you guys unless we've made every effort to contact the owner, contact a contractor that might want to buy them. I have several contractors that I call and say, hey, could you go by there and look at that property, see if you want to buy it? And then I try to get them in touch. If we know the owner, I do every effort I can to get them to do it. The last thing I want to do is spend the city of Hot Springs money. That's me, to tear down a house. So, I mean, we make every effort. We don't bring it to you guys until we have just ran out of things to do with it. It's just going downhill and going downhill rapidly. This house, you can see it has huge holes in the roof. And once that happens, it's over. If somebody doesn't patch that roof, it's over. That house deteriorates rapidly. Foundation deteriorates rapidly. The floors inside deteriorate rapidly. So.
Okay. How much does it cost to take the house down?
One like that will probably be $3,000 to $5,000. It depends when the contractor gets in there, and he has to verify how much concrete's in there, because unfortunately when you haul something off, it's done by weight. And so if it's not a lot of concrete, it's usually cheaper. If it's a concrete foundation, it can be more expensive. So.
Okay. So oh no, my next question is for the board. So that's all that I had.
Any other questions for Mr. Scott? Director Webb?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of questions about, the property that's around the home structure itself, like the truck, the camper. What happens to those items if you were to?
All that gets hauled off by the contractor that made the bid.
Okay, so that's kind of a part of the destruction that goes with everything
If they're
too?
not removed prior to him getting the bid, then he owns everything there.
And you were saying you haven't heard back from
No.
anybody trying to claim any of this property?
No.
Whether it be the home itself or vehicle, camper, and
No,
the trailer?
We had turned it over to an attorney in Lyden, so we could do every legal avenue we could to try to notify them, so.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I've got a quick
Bob
question.
Smith?
Are there more recent photos of this? These say 21. Is this case has been open since 21?
It's been open since 2018.
2018?
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't see. I kept going. I didn't see.
Any additional
So
questions?
it's probably worse.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
Yes, sir.
Is there anybody in the audience that wanted to speak on this? Yes, sir. Please come forward and state your name and address, please, and district.
Yes, I'm Lyndon Leininger, and the vehicle is a matter of mine. I had been planning to get them moved out of there. The big Dodge, I was going to move this month, but I wasn't able to because I had to work on my vehicle. $500 worth of battery and alternator.
Okay.
But my plans were to clean it up and to tear the house down.
Well, as you might have heard from a previous discussion tonight, that if we voted to condemn, there'd be a period of about 30 days for you to move forward.
I have COPD, which doesn't allow me to do a lot at a time.
Yeah.
The 29th of this month, I have cataract surgery, and I won't be able to do any lifting for 2 weeks.
So you're the owner of the property during
No.
all this time?
She's the owner.
Okay. But since around 2002, 2004 to the present. So,
She's owned it for quite a while.
yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
She took ownership of it in 2014.
10 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wait, she purchased it in 2010, I'm sorry. Yeah, 2010.
And when was your file created on this property?
In 2014, we sent out our very first vacant structure notice in 2014.
Okay.
Then we sent out another one in 2018, and so on.
All right. Thank you. Any discussion amongst the board?
I have a question real quick.
Director Holliday?
So the, because we haven't condemned it, you haven't put this out to bid for contractors, correct?
Correct.
So just to be clear, if the gentleman was able to remove any of the property on the property, particularly the vehicles, in advance of that bid, then all is well. It's not like there would be a
Yeah, it
contractor
would probably
to come
reduce
in.
the bid, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it would reduce the bid, but he would absolutely be able to take, they would be able to take whatever
Yes, they own
property
it.
off of the lot.
Absolutely, for the next, yeah.
So if we were to condemn this, can we just make sure that the two of you communicate so he knows when that last date is before
Sure.
contractors were to show up, so there isn't a surprise, especially considering
Absolutely.
his schedule? Because, you know, just like the one before and every other one, we would absolutely rather have the property owner be able to take care of it, so whatever part he can.
Any additional questions of Mike or anything else on this?
Is this Pamela Leninger?
This one, yes.
Are you Miss Leninger? Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Director Webb?
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Mike, would you be able to convey with this man here what Director Holliday was saying too, so that he understands what she's talking about before he leaves tonight?
Sure.
And sir, if you have any questions, please get with Mr. Mike, because what Director Holliday's talking about is you will have some time, even if we were to approve this, you will have some time to get your, vehicle and anything that you can remove off of this property before the bid's accepted. But you do need to stay in touch with Mr. Mike so that you know what that time period is.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions?
Yeah. Oh,
Go ahead, Director Beard.
thank you, Mayor. So if this is condemned tonight, then that gives him 90 days to remove the vehicles off the property, or how much time does he
30
have?
days.
Oh, it's 30 days.
But it's only it's the process. Mike doesn't expect it to
I
be
mean-
all cleaned off,
No.
but just show evidence of moving forward.
I mean, if he's over there moving stuff out of the way, I'm not going to get my demo crew in there and tell him to move it out of the way. As long as he's moving things out of the way, I can hold my demo guy off. He goes and tears it down on the day that I set for him to tear it down.
And that's, how many days would that be? 30?
Well, usually it's 30 days because nobody's trying to make any progress. And so therefore, after 30 days, we've gone through the appeal period. I have my low bidder and my demo contractor, he's ready to get started. But I remember one over on Moat Street that a gentleman, he had items in the house. I can't remember how much time I gave him, probably 60 or 90 days, and it never got removed, and we wound up tearing the house down anyway because of that. But I mean, I gave him every opportunity. I called him every week and said, look, I need you to get that out of there.
And then also on 418 Reserve, that guy had almost 100 days. I kept driving by thinking the house would be gone. So you have been very generous.
Thank you.
So he needs to know that you have time if this goes down, but he needs to see you. And if you're in the process of doing something and you're not finished or you need more time, I advise you to communicate with Mr. Scott so that he knows that you have challenges and that you're trying to get your property.
Thank you. And just to let you know, we have been able to get a hold of her. This is the first I've seen of her. So this is great. I can get a phone number maybe. I can get it, somehow I can keep in contact with her.
Yes, to
This
make
is the
sure
first
he
chance we've
can
had.
contact you.
Yeah.
All right, very good. There are no further questions. Please call the roll.
Director Dobbs Smith.
Aye.
Webb.
Aye.
Trustee.
Aye.
Holliday.
Aye.
Beard.
No.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. Resolution is adopted. Our final action item of this evening is to consider Resolution R-24-108. And I ask the city attorney to read by title.
Resolution R-24-108, a resolution declaring a certain structure located at 610 South Street a nuisance and condemning same pursuant to Title 17 of the Hot Springs Code. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt.
Thank you.
Motion to adopt.
Director Trustee.
Second.
Seconded by Director Dobbs Smith. And again, Mike will provide the staff report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The City of Hot Springs proposes condemnation for the purpose of demolishing and clearing a vacant duplex structure at 610 South Street. Am I on the right one? Okay.
Yeah, 610, sir.
You're 610.
I kept flipping back and forth, sorry. The City of Hot Springs sends vacant structure notices on this property, inspected, and it was vacant structure, and it was in violation of the Hot Springs Code. Most recently, the City of Hot Springs sent a vacant structure notice April 7th, 2023, indicating that the property had been inspected and was in violation of the Hot Springs Code. The subject structure was damaged by a fire on or about December 27th, 2023, rendering it unsafe for habitation because of extensive structural damage. Both the Arkansas Fire Prevention Code Volume 2 and the Hot Springs Property Maintenance Code define the conditions of an unsafe structure. A notice of proceedings was issued to the owner of address on record. The signed green card was returned to our office, and I actually spoke with her today because she asked if she needed to come here. She had no concerns, didn't care if we tore it down. She did not have the money. Due to the extent of the damage caused by the fire, the inability or unwillingness of the property owner or her heirs to make repairs to stabilize, and having no reasonable alternative, staff recommends that the structure should be raised and removed.
Any questions of Mike on this resolution?
I have something.
Director Dobbs Smith.
I would like to say thank you for removing it. It's an eyesore and a danger to the neighbors.
Yes, ma'am.
And I appreciate you getting right on this one. Thank you.
I did talk to Ms. Hicks today, and she just can't afford to take it down, is what she told me. So she
Any
agrees that
other
it needs to be taken down
questions of Mike?
immediately. So,
Thank you. Is there anybody in the audience that wanted to speak on this resolution? Thank you. Any discussion amongst directors? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Director Webb.
Aye.
Trustee.
Aye.
Holliday.
Aye.
Beard.
Aye.
Dobbs Smith.
Aye.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. Resolution's adopted. This completes the action items that were scheduled to be addressed today. We're now under Board of Directors items for discussion. Any item for discussion from Director Webb?
Thank you, Mayor. I believe I can speak for all the soccer community here in Hot Springs in giving a big thanks to city staff for paying attention to the soccer fields at Kimry Park by spreading this hydro seed to help address those bare spots. And I look forward to seeing what happens as a result of this treatment to the fields and seeing all the soccer players back on it as soon as the grass is up and we are at that June 21st day.
I think we got some new bleachers coming too.
Yes, and thank you for also bringing those bleachers. That's going to be a big help for all the little kiddos and their families to watch everybody play soccer. I think we're one step closer to maybe bringing some new lights to the field, which I hope to see happen soon too. So thank you to city staff.
Any other directors of items for discussion? Director Beard?
Thank you, Mayor. I want to mention with the National League of Cities tour bus that is going to be joining us in June, or I don't know if you guys responded, or did everyone agree that they would come here? City manager.
Sorry.
Is the tour bus is coming here for the National League of Cities and we've responded? Okay. What I spoke with Ebony Clifton, who's the person that you would respond to, and she mentioned to me, and I will mention to you, that the problems with the houses are something that affects the entire city. So when they come here, this is an opportunity for us to share problems that we have, because this problem exists in other cities in the country, and hopefully this could be part of the conversation. You know, we have, it's endless, and we can't just keep tearing down houses. So hopefully in that conversation or in the planning, in the hour that we get to meet with them, that we can consider this, that we need help on. Thank you.
Any other items for discussion? We do have a public commentary following the meeting, so if there's no further business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Who made that? Director Holliday? Seconded by Director Webb? And everybody got confused because Director Garcia is not here, so. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned, so just give us a moment or two to switch over and we'll be moving into